Hi, I'm Liz Larson with Transform One Idea, where we're always exploring the idea how the smallest shifts can make the biggest change. And I'm back with Tom Gebo, who's the director of the YTE Youth Theater Ensemble, as well as a second grade teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I asked Tom to do this interview today to share with us the ideas about how theater shapes people.
Mm-hmm.
And I had shared with you that I had the opportunity during a training to do this thing called the treasure map.
Right.
And I realized during it how all of these little theater or music programs or all that I had been in had shaped almost every aspect of my life.
Right.
And so we got to have this amazing conversation about that. So what are some of the things that you think theater does for people?
I have to say that it depends on how the theater is ran,
Oh, that's
and how
true.
it's put together, and what the process is. And at YTE, we've done it for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
You helped out for a while because Leo was involved in camp, and it's a process-oriented camp. It starts with kids in groups, and they are learning the singing, the choreography, they're learning the scene work, and they're learning theater techniques in 4 different classes in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we are putting a show, which is usually a 35-minute show, musical, together, trying to get everybody in their places, staging on the stage. Whereas the other classes are in different rooms, except for the choreography, because we feel it's important that the choreography is done on the stage. It's an important thing. And it's not about having stars in the show. It's not about having this huge production where people are going crazy, and it's all about the process and the teamwork it takes to make a show, and the just everything that's involved with putting a production together. It shows the kids who come in, some come in with no experience, some come in with some experience, and they all realize that they're all going to have a line, they're going to be able to speak, but everybody sings, everybody dances, everybody is in the show the whole 35 minutes. Everybody's on stage.
I love that you do that, and you explained that to me, and I didn't realize the difference between a kid being in a production where there might be grown-up stars or people who are more professional and being part of the chorus, as opposed to what happens in camp. Everybody has a part, equal parts,
Right.
equal lines. They learn choreography. They learn to speak, some on stage. They learn the lines, that, the movements that they have to do that
Right.
go along
The
with
blocking,
that.
the
Blocking,
staging.
staging. All of that. So, and they're having, a full day experience. They arrive at 9 and finish at 3. Is that right?
Right, 9 to 3.
Yeah, so it's an all day for 2 weeks. I mean,
Right.
it's a real immersion. And you've got kids as young as 7.
Right, and sometimes it depends on the parent. Will say, well, you have a 6-year-old and you think they can make it through that day, and then we'll let them in. It's a long day.
Yeah, and this camp is unique too because kids move through the camp as they get older, kids who come again and again, and many of them become what's called an apprentice.
Right.
What are the apprentices?
Well, they start at 7 or 6, and they can go all the way until they're 13. We've been doing 14, but we've decided we're going to go to 13. And then once they become 14, 15, 16, 17, they can be high school apprentices. And we pick the best of the best from camp. Most of our apprentices have been in camp before.
Yeah.
So they know what camp is. And they look forward to becoming apprentices because they're the kids that move the kids from group to group. They're the ones that are in charge of taking care of the kids when they're on lunch and being part of their lives. And so that the kids look up to them. They help take care of them. And it's a great experience for the high schoolers because they're learning responsibility, They're learning just how to be part of an adult group.
Yeah.
They're older. They're not campers anymore. They're more like staff.
Yeah.
And that's and then they get their volunteer. What they need when they're applying to colleges, you need volunteer work.
Time. That's right.
And
yeah.
so that's all part of that as well. Yeah.
And then, even more uniquely, the actual staff, many of them are former campers.
Yeah. Our administrator was never a camper because she was too old to be a camper when we started. But 15 years ago, she was an apprentice, a high school apprentice.
Yeah.
And she went off to college and got her degree, and then she came back and was part of camp as an assistant administrator, and then she took the administrator.
Yeah.
That's
and she was part of your acting group. You had an acting group. You taught classes.
Yeah, my son was a part of that as well. Yeah.
During the year, my daughter was a part of that as well. And so, those kids moved up. But that was one of the reasons I really asked you to have this conversation, is because there are so many life things involved.
Responsibility for your own line, for where you need to be on the stage. Well, for getting to camp on time, getting to where you need to be for rehearsal.
Yeah.
And when they're in camp, we do move them to those places, but having the parents be responsible to get them there so that they can be there, so we can move them around and teach them how to be responsible for everything that they need to know. I mean, each kid has to learn 8 songs, and there's parts. I mean, it's vocal difference, harmonies. So there's kids that have to learn the harmonies as well, and there's 4 main dances, and then there's the staging of all the other numbers.
Yeah.
It's a big responsibility.
Well, and responsibility to your theater mates, to your teammates.
Your friends, your teammates. Yeah, it's teamwork, and so much friendship comes out of that.
And that your part matters.
Yes.
But if you don't do your part, it matters.
It affects somebody else.
Somebody else.
Yes.
That's a huge life lesson.
Right.
I mean, we have to know that when we work with other people, right? We have to know it when we collaborate with people, and we have to know it for a million things.
Right.
If you're doing that year after year in camp, you're an expert at it by the time you're 14.
And we're training them to be responsible adults.
Yeah.
And when I think about it, I think, okay, it's theater, and we're doing theater. And then I think about it, and I go, wow, I mean, this is an actual training ground, not just for the kids to sing, act, and dance, but we're training them for life.
For life.
Yeah, I mean,
it's true.
Everybody.
Well, when I was talking about that experience that I had, it had never occurred to me until that moment. In this process, you go on a timeline as far back as you can remember when someone helped you become who you are. And I realized that in kindergarten, I would always forget my show and tell. So they would ask me to sing something or tell a story. And I realized, oh my gosh, that was the first time I learned about public speaking.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I would stand up and tell a story. They asked me to do that. That was the first time.
Right.
And then in first grade there was something, and all along that, to where talking on camera or singing in front of 1,000 people.
Well, and it's just like you and I talked the other day about, there are a lot of people out there that the last thing they want to do is talk in front of people.
Exactly.
And people like our children, like Leah and my son Will, and even Sam, are unafraid to speak in front of people because they're used to it. They've done it. They've done it on camera. They've done it on stage. They did it in camp, and they get a confidence from that. A confidence about speaking in front of people, and also a self-confidence. Yeah. A self-pride is given, or they get self-pride or self-confidence because look at what I just did.
Exactly. And you said something to me that was so impactful. We were saying, public speaking or this or that, and you said teaching, like what you do. You're in front of a group, and they're a tough group, second graders. If you are a manager that has to lead a management meeting, sales meeting, you have to speak in front of people. And theater and music gives you that ability, gives you that ability to organize your mind to what you want to say and then deliver it.
Right.
Huge.
Well, I just have to say there's a young lady that started teaching at my school last year. Her name's Kaylee Allen. She was Kaylee Manella, but she just got married, and she started teaching third grade, and she became one of my peers. But she was one of my students and one of my actors, and she was in camp, and she came to see the show this year, and it was one of the shows that she participated in. And her husband was saying, she was out there doing all the dances and singing all this. And then she came to me afterwards, she said, Tom, I'd like to volunteer next year, because, I could do something and help you out with this. And so she's successful. I mean, she's become a teacher.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's what camp leads to. It helps build successful people, not people that contribute.
Yeah.
Contributors.
Yeah. Well, and I can hear arguments that, not everybody's going to want to be a public speaker, and I think that's really true.
Mm-hmm.
But even just the ability to calmly speak to another person,
Yeah.
I think that theater, performing, singing really builds that in the fibers of your being.
And I have to say that in our camp, where there's not so much pressure, where you're not sitting around a lot, in other camps where they have people that are on stage more than others, there's kids backstage. They're waiting for their turn to go on stage,
Yeah.
just like all plays are.
Yeah.
But we don't do that to our kids. Everybody's on stage for the whole 35 minutes. So they have to be there and teaching them, okay, you can't sit in the back even though it's not your turn and look away. You have to be present the whole time. And learning that responsibility and also learning about the audience and their reactions and how they react to what and what they don't react to and how it changes. That's why we do 2 performances instead of just one. The first night, everybody's rattled and it's the opening night. And then we do it another night just to give them experience of, okay, it's different. It's not the same thing. And then you talk to them about, could you imagine doing this 40 times?
Yeah.
The same show and how to make it new every single time. And of course you have the younger kids that are like, oh yeah. But then there's the older kids that start to realize that,
Yeah. And you reminded me of something. There are kids who have come through your camps that actually have worked in the theater. One of them was your son.
Right.
Learned how to use the I don't know what I'm trying to say here. He worked in the theater. Talk about that.
He went to Portland State and got his degree in his BS in theater, but he was a backstage person. He's a person that was a manager. He was like a stage manager for a long time, and in the process of helping performers get their best through stage management, and eventually became a production manager, which had to do with contracts and taxes and it's the production of the business of theater. And he was really good at it, and everybody appreciated him, but he decided that what he was going to do is this last year he went to Memphis and is going to law school because he liked all that business part that he wanted to maybe get into the entertainment law, but who knows? He's just starting. Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is, he did both. He was in front of the, on the stage and behind. But those are jobs that are available.
Right.
That unless a kid's exposed to them, they wouldn't even know exist on the planet.
And then the apprentices not only work with the kids, but when in the afternoons they work on painting the sets. We have apprentices that run the lights and the sound, so they get a chance to get a feel for all of it.
Yeah.
All the apprentices are backstage during the show, moving this or doing whatever they need or picking up props, so they learn that as well. Yeah.
And about choreography.
Oh, that
And about directing and,
Yes.
and about scripts.
Yep.
So there's a whole industry that kids who spend 14 days in camp and sometimes many years of,
Right.
of camp or theater in general learn and see that's a possibility
Yeah,
for
and
them.
then, but it's not only that. I know that we've had a couple of people that have been through camp that have become professional theater people.
Yeah.
But there's people that have been through camp that have gone on to other jobs that
Lots
I
of jobs.
believe camp has helped them, musical theater camp has helped them to reach their goal.
Let's talk about what some of those jobs are, because I think that's fascinating.
Well, I just like everybody goes off and does. So there's teachers. There's a girl right now who is getting her nursing degree. So the process that we go through, we're process oriented. This is what it takes to put a production together. They learn about a process to follow or to take, or that there is even a process to get to the end goal. In school, it's kind of like that, but they're used to, okay, this is school and we do this and we get to this end. Whereas in camp, it's like, okay, we're doing all these little things, but what are those for? And then, oh, I see. Oh, and it's this. And I think that helps young adults and kids see that if you do the process and you do it to the best of your ability, you're going to get this end product, this successful thing. And I think that contributes to a lot of the kids that have left camp to go on and do what they're doing in their life.
Yeah. In fact, one of your staff members right now is a guy who spent a lot of time in theater, Dave, you were talking about, who is now becoming a theater teacher himself as well.
David Kashiba is went through school, and now he's teaching at Crater High School over at Central Point. He's the drama teacher at Crater High School. Yeah.
But I think it's a really good point, because they're kids who go through camp, they're witnessing project management.
Right.
You know, you start out when everything seems like kind of a mess, a jumble, and you end up with this product.
Yeah.
And they get to be a piece of that, a part of it, and witness it, and see how it happens.
And that's another thing
huge
is trust.
Yeah.
To trust each other, to trust the staff that they're going to get them where they're going to go, to trust the fact that they're going to get there, that we can do this, we'll be able to do this, and we provide a safe place for them to learn that. You were talking about our staff, and Davey Kashuba, he teaches theater techniques, and then Jamie Bannister is a music teacher at Highland Elementary School, and she's our choral person, and then Jocelyn Schmidt, who was a professional actress for a long time, and now teaches kids dance, and is also a massage therapist. But they all of us have experience with kids. I'm a 7th grade teacher, our administrator is a kindergarten teacher. Davies teaches high school, so it's great to have his experience, because a lot of us are with little kids, whereas Davey is more high school, middle school type of guy. And then we have another gentleman, Coleman Antonucci, who's not a teacher, but he's a musician. And to have him involved, we had him for a couple of years, we didn't have him this year, but we have him involved in teaching the kids how to write songs, so that they can, in their skits, because we have skits that the apprentices help the kids do, which is more free. It's not the day-to-day, we have to do this, we have to do that. They come up with a script, they come up with an idea, and then they perform the skits for the parents, and it has to include singing, and it has to include acting, and so we've done that for 15 years. And when Coleman was involved, he would teach the kids how to write a song. And so he's going to come back next year, and so we're involving not only the learning of music, but the creating of music.
And the expression.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many little pieces that kids get to witness, even if they're not a part of it, that is happening. I want to go back to the apprentices.
Right.
14, 15, 16, 17, they're learning leadership.
That's it.
And I know that there are leadership groups, and they can, but this is a way for them to actively, for 14 days, be leading and learning how to lead.
And a lot of these kids are talented theater people, but they are motivated in school, and they have these higher echelon classes that take a lot of stuff, a lot of time to do, and so they don't get to do theater in high school.
Yeah.
And it's a relief for them to come for that 2 weeks and be part of it and know that they are doing it. I just wish I wish high school was less rigorous, so that people could do those extracurricular things, like theater and like even sports. It's hard to even find time for that stuff, and marching band,
Yeah. Well, we're talking about extracurricular in a way, but there's so many core lessons in theater that people are learning that it almost feels like it maybe should be a required class.
Right.
One of those reasons that I feel personally is the confidence. that kids get. I talked about, standing up in front of people and talking or singing in kindergarten, but all of those things gave me the confidence that I knew I could lead a meeting.
Right.
I knew I could do an interview.
Right.
I knew that when years ago I worked in other jobs, I could go sit with maybe the owner or manager of the company and deliver myself and hold myself in a way that was respectful and confident and deliver the message that I needed. And I can trace that all back to theater and music education.
Right.
And so I really think while it's the underpinning of all of it, it's also the cherry on the top at the same time.
It can be. But I don't want everybody to think that they have to have their sights set on becoming a theater person.
Exactly.
Right.
No, I think that's the whole point of what we're saying.
In our camp, it's about coming in and having fun and learning teamwork and making friends, and it's about the process, the growth of getting to an end point as a team.
Yeah.
And that builds self-confidence. And you start to realize that you're building bonds between the people. It's almost like another family.
Yeah. And I want to say this about YTE too, having experienced it from the inside and the outside, that kids are really having fun. And there are theater experiences that aren't so fun. Where the director's yelling at people and strict and really, but in YTE the kids are having a good time.
And that's important.
Yeah, they're laughing, they're smiling, and they're learning.
And then there's also we teach them there's the time to laugh and smile and fool around, and there's a time when you have to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And teaching them the difference between those two things is the same thing you're teaching them in school.
Yeah.
There's a time to fool around and have a good time, and you can have a good time with learning too, but you have to be serious at it. You have to focus on that what you're learning at that moment.
Which is a life lesson. We all know that. We know that we've got to sometimes focus and pay attention to what we're doing and follow through and be a little bit serious, and that it can turn out into this amazing, fun thing.
It turns out with this production too, it comes up and here you are. This is what you get because you have worked all these areas. You learn the songs, you learn the dances, which it's not easy stuff to do. And you learn the staging of the other songs, and then you go in and you do a little bit of theater techniques with vocal loudness and pronunciation and articulation, and you do some improvisation so that you learn to listen and talk with somebody on stage. Mm-hmm. Those are all things that lead to the final production, the process to the production. The production is not as important. I'm not saying it isn't important, because it is, but it isn't as important for us as the process.
Yeah. And so the production, the process, there's a lot that goes into that from the staff, from the planning. How long does it take you to plan what's going to happen for camp that year?
Well, it differs. Recently we started trying to get donors.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get people to donate money. So myself and Jamie Kroll, who is the administrator, have done a lot of legwork with applying for grants and trying to get known out there that we need money to do camp. And
let's talk about what that money goes for. So your camp is held at the high school, which is the Performing Arts Center.
Right, and then we use the whole Performing Arts Center for those 2 weeks.
And is that a part of the costs?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a cost there.
Yes.
There's a cost involved in some of the key staff members.
Yes, well, paying the staff members, yes.
Yeah, what are some of the other things
Props,
that go into
paint,
materials
for that stuff, makeup.
Do you have to pay for the scripts? I know a lot of times to use music.
It depends, but usually you do, unless you already own it. It's something that you bought before and you're doing it again. But they're not very expensive because they're only 35-minute productions, and they're usually from middle school and elementary school productions. So you do pay for that. I think the biggest cost is just staff, because we want to we believe in paying what people deserve. They need to get what, and our staff works hard. I mean, for those 2 weeks, it's amazing to see what they do. But we don't, our budget is only to cover our costs. And then if there's some left over, we've not done this before, but we're hoping in the future that we'll have a fund that is established that'll carry over to the next year. So we can use it for camp. And our goal is to eventually give more partial scholarships, make maybe camp even cheaper. This year we had to go up to $160 per camper for 2 weeks, which is cheaper than daycare, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's about $80 a week. But we had talked about it, even that may not be accessible to everyone. So one of your goals, the camp's goals, is to maybe have some more, like you said, scholarships.
Partial scholarships, yeah.
And so the community can definitely assist with that.
Oh, yeah.
If they wish.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what pays for camp basically is the registration fee.
Yeah. What other goals do you have for camp? What do you foresee in the future?
I want it to be more self-sustaining. It would be great not to have to always go out and try to ask people for money.
Yeah.
Through stuff like this interview, hopefully we can post it and people understand what a good thing it is.
Yeah.
And then they'll reach out to us and want to give us money for that situation. I just want it to keep going, because I think it's really important. I know that David Kashuba, our friend I told you over there at Crater High School in Central Point, I know that in a couple of years he wants to take that model over there.
Yeah.
He wants to, because he wants to build, it's perfect for him, he wants to build elementary to middle school up to his high school thing. And if he can run it through Crater and then have kids, have his high school students be the apprentices and get kids, middle school and elementary kids to do this and use our model, great.
Yeah.
So then there would be 2 places that would do it.
So, if parents think, well, maybe my child's more into sports or maybe my child is more into other things, is theater camp still appropriate for them, do you think?
Yes, we just have to open their minds to the fact that it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a new thing. And I've had kids that I know that are sports kids, they came in and did it and had a great time.
Yeah.
They may never do anything again like that. Or they may just come back every year and do camp. And that's the only thing they'll do. And just think of the self-confidence it would build in those people. Just being able to talk to people and and just that feeling, of being part of something like this is amazing.
Well, if you've ever been a part of a show, you might know that it is an amazing feeling to finish that show, get the applause, see how much you've impacted the audience.
And how much work you put into it, and now look what you've gotten.
It's really a great feeling. I personally think it would enhance every child's experience to
agree.
at least do it one time.
Yeah.
And to be able to see everything that goes into it and how the process works. And definitely we know from your experience that the people who've gone through camp and been many years really end up being successful people.
I had a mother from Highland, has a son that's in 3rd grade and he's an only child, and she saw me and I told her about camp and she said, he's so quiet. I'd like to bring him out. And she got him to sign up for camp this year. And she said, thank you, Mr. G. He's starting to talk more. He's out. He's gotten more self-confidence. We're going to do this next year for sure. And so that's what it does, I think, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for our community for bringing YTE here. It's an opportunity for, lots of kids to get in there, get a shot, experience what it's like, and learn these lifelong skills. I know from personal experience, it really changes who you become.
And we'll be doing it again the first 2 weeks in August next summer. That's our time slot at the Performing Arts Center at Grants Pass High School. And we're hoping to get a new nonprofit to be our nonprofit, and then we'll know where people can be signing up after that.
So if people want to find out more about the camp or more about some of the programs, how do they do that?
Well, as of now, they need to contact Jamie Kroll, and of course I don't have.
We'll make sure people have that contact information.
Well,
yeah.
and then they could contact me at my email at school.
Okay, which is that? What's your email?
tgebo@grantspass.k12.or.us.
Okay.
If they have questions,
We'll make sure we print that below so you guys have it.
Right, and then Jamie too, whatever her email is, I don't know, she has a school for her kindergarten class too. She uses.
And so we have viewers, of course, all around the world as well as outside of our community. And I want to encourage everyone, if you have never been part of a theater production, even if you're an adult, to get out there and give it a try. There's lots of small community theater programs that you can be a part of. And consider having your kids or grandkids go to theater camp somewhere or be a part of a small theater production. And I think you'll see how amazing it is for them personally and for your community as a whole.
Right.
You know, if we're building better people, we're building better communities.
Well, and one of the things that's difficult is just you have 60 kids or 80 kids, we've got 80 kids, and getting them focused and centered and to do what you need to do. And Liz, you introduced the Cognomovement.
That's right, there was a pilot program this year, yeah.
And using these to center both sides of the brain and to get them focused and open up their learning. We did it before camp, we did it after lunch, so we bring them back. And it was an amazing tool to just recenter everybody because they are kids. You know, we even had 6-year-olds, you know, and we had a couple 6-year-olds all the way up to 14 this year, and it was a tool that helped, I just have to say, recenter and open their learning centers.
Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity to find out how this worked in a group. So this is the Cognomovement ball, and we used what we dubbed the Cogno Circle, and you were the pilot program for it, but we learned that kids can center and focus quickly, quiet, and calm. And as you are well aware, getting 60 to 80 kids quiet and calm, you said before it took 15 minutes, now we're down to 5 or 6,
15 or more minutes.
Yeah, and during that time, they're focusing, they're calm, they're centered. They're not only just getting settled, but they're doing an activity that enhances that focus. So that was an amazing thing, and we're so appreciative that you were able to take that on as a pilot program this year and have such interesting success with it, because it really is an exploration.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was amazed at, well, I wasn't amazed because I've experienced the Cognomovement myself and how it focuses myself. But just to have the kids to pass it around at the beginning and recognize the colors and hold on to it and pass it one way for a minute, then pass it the other way for a minute, it brought them together. It was a focusing, everybody had done it, and then it was like, okay, we're ready to go, let's go do this. And they were made them ready. Made them, got their learning brains open. That's what I think.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the Cogno before, it addresses color, shape. These are geometric shapes, and touch. So auditory, visual, and kinesthetic, 3 ways that people learn. It actually activates those learning centers, and then there's a cross-body movement.
You call out the colors.
Call out the colors, call out the symbol. So you have eye accessing cues, reminiscence of EMDR, if people know what that is, rapid eye movement, cross-body movement, which harmonizes. And the main idea is that we're harmonizing the left on the right side of the brain. Right. So being able to use this in theater camp this year, to see how it settled and calmed and focused kids, it was a great experience.
Yes,
It was really, really cool. And just, another aspect of theater camp that kids get to take with them for the rest of the year.
Well, and I think that's typical of a camp like that. You're open to new ideas, you're open to trying new things, and you experiment a lot.
And there are lots of interesting theater warm-ups that people do that look super weird, way weirder than passing a ball.
Right.
But people also learn.
Yes.
How to center, how to focus, how to prepare, how to calm nerves.
How to open themselves up, how to get their body stretched out so that they're ready to move and do whatever they need to do in a musical theater setting. Because they're dancing too, you know. And then they have to warm up their voices because they're singing. And a lot of exercise.
Preparation and being ready to do a performance, you know, doing the things that you need to do to be ready. I think that's a big life skill too. We all have to do it.
We all have to prep.
We all have to prep.
Yeah.
And know that we have control and dominion over our own bodies.
Right.
Focusing our voice, learning how to project one's voice.
Right.
How to be
I don't
heard.
have any trouble with projecting.
Yeah, I don't anymore either.
Well, at school, they're always going, "Yeah, we hear you down the hall, Mr. G."
Yeah, but that's part of it. Learning that you can project your voice, how to do it, how to modulate.
Yeah.
You know, voice modulation is a huge thing. One of the big things that I do is communication, and tone can mean everything.
Oh yeah.
Body language.
Because you
can
react
mean
to all those things.
everything.
Yes.
Your cadence. When you're acting, you learn how to do different cadences, different from your normal cadence,
Right.
to get across a point. In everyday life, we have to do the same thing, and you can become an expert at it.
Right.
So it's one of those things you learn. I'm just fascinated with how many things you can learn by theater and music, and
Well,
I'm
and
just a
just
proponent
the
of
other
it.
thing we talked about was being in the moment.
Yeah.
Because when you're on stage, you really have to be in the moment. You can't be thinking about what's my next line. You can't be thinking about, oh, what's my mom thinking over there. You have to be there and present and in the moment, and that gets the best performance situation. And that's true with many things in life. And I shared with you about my ex-student, Brandon Drury, who plays for the Blue Jays, and how we had the discussion of being in the moment when you're at bat or on the field. You've got to put everything else away. You have to trust your homework that you've done, and you've got to go up there and be ready for each pitch, not the pitch before, not the next pitch, but this pitch. And I believe we teach that in theater camp.
Yeah. You know, I like to refer to it as a bit of magic. That's when the magic happens.
Right.
When you're focused, when you're present.
Present, yes.
Present. When all of your energy is in the moment now, and you're there for whatever happens next,
Right.
that's when the magic happens.
Right.
Whether you're at bat, whether you're in a meeting, whether you're in just a conversation with somebody that's important to you in
Whether
life.
you're teaching.
Teaching.
Yes.
Yeah, it's huge. There's so many little nuggets
Right.
that are gems. They're really gems that are within
Yes.
music and theater and being a part of a production. I think that's huge.
I think in particular being a part of YTE.
Yes.
Because I think that we really stress all those steps,
Yeah.
so that you grow into this final production, but then it's sinking into the kids that, you know, that's the way life works. Hopefully, you know.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a kid, they probably have no idea that's
No,
what life works. But when you're grown, there are things that you learn that I don't know that you can learn anywhere else. It's really such a whole thing that happens when you're a part of
And
all of
people
that.
come back and say, gosh, it was so good to do that. And,
Yeah.
and you know, they relive it and they talk about it and they come see the new productions. And it's all about, we did that.
And I think one of the things that really speaks to the program that you have is how many kids come back again and again and again, and then do want to be a part of the apprenticeship and all of that. So I want to thank you so much for this interview and for, you know, sharing theater with kids.
Okay.
It's massive.
Yeah.
I know you know it, but it's nice to be reminded, and you do such a service to not just the community, but to each and every individual that passes through that camp. So,
And I have to say that it's about passion.
yeah.
I mean, people can see the passion in me. They can see the passion in Jamie. They can see the passion in all of our staff. We are passionate about this, and that rubs off on the kids.
Yeah.
And they become passionate about it because it's so important to us that they have fun and that they learn, that it becomes a passion for them.
And what a better thing for kids to see passionate grown-ups doing
Yeah.
what they love.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks again. This is Tom Gebo with YTE,
Right.
Youth
Theater
Theater Ensemble.
Ensemble.
And we're in Southern Oregon, and I'm Liz Larson with Transform One Idea, where we're always exploring how the smallest shift can make the biggest change. And I'm telling you, theater camp will change your child for the better and forever. Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Ciao for now.